Hello, everyone. I'm Eric D'Souza, and you're joining us today for another episode of Crime Writers of Canada's podcast, where we are interviewing all the members of Crime Writers of Canada that have been nominated for an Awards of Excellence. And today we are talking to Jan Field. Hi, Jan. How are you?
Hi, Eric. I'm fine, thank you.
We are chatting today because your novel, Yesterday Lies, published by La Cloche Publishing, is nominated for Best Crime First Novel, sponsored by Melodie Campbell. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited.
A little bit about you. Jan grew up in a mining town in Sudbury, Ontario, in a large, close knit family that has kept her grounded and laughing and reading her entire life. Now retired from a career in marketing, tourism, accommodation in both northern and southern Ontario, Jan returns to her roots to create the Matt Brennan world, which is set in the remote northern landscape of the Georgian Bay, Killarney, and North Channel. The complexities of crime fascinate her, what makes ordinary people make horrible, life-altering decisions, and what motivates others to seek out the truth and address the injustices of criminal action. She is incredibly honored and humbled that Yesterday's Childs has been shortlisted for the Crime Writers at Canada's Award for Best Crime First Novel. Your story, from what I've read so far, is told in the first person point of view from Matt Brennan and starts with a canoe ride with his brother in law, Ben. Uh, who are these two guys and how close of a relationship do they have?
Good question. Matt Brennan, the main character in this story, is a 40-something career RCMP forensic analyst, quite frankly, but in the accounting side. And he was born in La Cloche, which is Killarney Provincial Park area. And he grew up in Northern Ontario, Sudbury, attended Laurentian University. And he's on this canoe trip because his uncle owned a fly-in fishing resort, which is fairly common in Northern Ontario. And his uncle had recently died, and he directed that Matt should take over the operation of the property, that it was his, but he's decided that he's going to operate it and sell it. In order to do so, it's springtime. He has to come north and get the lodge open. And his brother-in-law, Ben, is with him because Ben actually knows which end of a canoe to paddle from. And Ben's also been very helpful with Matt's uncle in running the lodge for the last several years. Ben and Matt went to university together, and actually Matt introduced Ben to his sister, whom he eventually married. So it's the beginning of the family evolving, and they're in that canoe because they have to go and visit one of the outpost camps to make sure that it's operational for the season.
In some stories, location is so important. It's almost, a lot of writers say it's a character in its own. From the little I've read, I'm going to guess that this is also the case in your story. So, can you tell us about the rugged Canadian wilderness that plays a central part in your story?
Water, rocks, and trees. That's the Northern Ontario I grew up with. As I said, I grew up in Sudbury. Killarney Provincial Park and that whole North Channel, Manitoulin Island, those are my stomping grounds, whether it was canoeing or camping or bicycling. It's a really important piece of who I am. And even though I couldn't wait to get out of Northern Ontario and come south and do all those things we all end up doing, a part of me will always belong to the North. And I wanted that sense of water, rocks, and trees, that impermeable connection that all humans, but especially people who have grown up close to the earth, feel. And I wanted people who read the book to feel the Northern Ontario that I experience whenever I drive north, which is quite frequently. As much as I would never live there again, I swear, I can't help it. As soon as I hit Footsbay on Highway 69, my ears start to come out of my shoulders. There's just something in me that settles and I'm grounded. And I want to convey that that sense of belonging and that sense of water, rocks, and trees to the rest of the world.
I can tell you that I don't know, I guess a fan of the getting the body early in a crime novel. First chapter is always ideal. You don't disappoint. But you added a very, I don't know, unique crime scene. Could you tell us about it?
Sure. It's not giving anything away because I think it's on the back cover blurb. But as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm fascinated with why things happen. It's led me down a lot of paths. Lots of writers find that, many rabbit holes. And and there was a story once that I read a very long time ago about a body being discovered in a tree. And somehow that just seemed to fit because there are a lot of trees in Northern Ontario. And in particular, this story takes place in a very remote setting. Fly in, it's you have to fly in with a bush plane with pontoons. It has to land on a lake. So the idea of dropping a body out of a plane and instead of having it land in the water or on the ground, that it landed on this tree, and therefore becomes incredibly macabre picture that Matt and his brother-in-law Ben come across. It just appealed to my sense of macabre as well as, this sort of thing does actually happen in Northern Ontario.
What I liked too is you didn't you put some thought into it. Let me put it that way. Uh, there's he's a cop, so he's thinking about preserving the crime scene as best he can. The day is old, it's remote, and there's vultures around, and he's trying to think with the local authorities um, how to actually get the body and keep the crime scene. So that was very clever. Another clever thing. I'll eventually come to a question again, but another kudos to you
Thank
uh,
you.
is when I read a new writer, and I think I'm not alone in this, I'm looking for a clever line that just tells me like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to keep going. And I found it fairly early. It was Matt who said, I felt sorry for the poor guy, but finding a body was not part of the plan. And I was like, and it's kind of that cop humor too that I enjoyed. Coming to a question, another thing I read is that the story is taking place in 1994, which at this point is almost an historical crime fiction. So why did
Watch
you
it.
choose? It's hard to imagine it so long ago, but it is 20
Yeah,
or 36 years ago.
yeah, yeah. So
Why
why
you said
did,
it then? Yes.
well, lot lot of answers. Partly because that's when I wrote it. Honestly, it was that long ago. My husband and I were running a brand new business, and I needed something to keep my brain from completely atrophying. And I love mysteries. So I just started writing this in a notebook, and every time we had a holiday or something, I'd just start penning this down and then transcribe it when we got home. Once I'd written it, like it took several years to write it because, again, I was writing it piecemeal. Um, so it was current time for me back then, Eric, just pointing that out again. Uh, when it came time, I just put it away. We were very busy in our lives. And when I dusted it off and brought it back out, I took it to a workshop and discussed with the facilitator, should I bring this into modern times and all that kind of stuff. And he said, do you want to? And I said, no. I mean, it happened in my head the way I wrote it. So no, I don't want to. And on another side, it's actually interesting because even now, cell phones in Northern Ontario are not all that reliable. You can get out a cell phone reach very quickly. Back then, they didn't happen at all. So clearly, being able to set this in that time gives me some advantages. Disadvantages, some more modern writers would say, but certainly advantages from my perspective. I liked that time period, and I liked how the characters interacted with each other without social media on their doorstep. Not that I'm knocking it, thank you, but yes.
Um, Another sense that I get and we meet them in the second chapter, is that family is going to play a big part in this story. And you did read, or sorry, when I read your bio, it did say that family is a very important part to you. So why did you want to put that element into your story?
Because it's an important part of who I am. And I think all authors will acknowledge that just about everything we write, one way or another, is a little autobiographical, or at least elements. And for me, I'm the youngest of 11 children. And I grew up with the normal set of parents as well as 10 other set of parents. And they have been tremendously formative for me. My oldest brother filled our home with books and our love of books. So for me, family is huge and continues to be huge. So yeah, that I couldn't imagine writing a book that didn't have a large family in it. And I was also Margaret Maron is one of my favorite my era of writers, and she also wrote about a big interconnected family, and that just felt like home to me, and that's what I wanted to write about.
Um, is it going to take another 30 years for us to get another Matt Brennan
Smart.
story?
You're lucky you're that far away in British Columbia, Eric. Yeah, yeah. No, as a matter of fact, the second book, Silence of the Deep, is already written. It's about to go off to the editor in 2 weeks' time. And the editor, well known to CWC, is
Mhm.
Cheryl Friedman, who I found on CWC's site a couple of years ago. Well, 5 years ago now. No, it won't take as long. That book's finished, other than some editing. Book three is in research stage and will hopefully get written this summer. It's part of a 5 books series at this point. And no, I spent a lot of time rewriting book one. A lot of authors I know just give up and go on to another book.
Mhm.
That's not who I am. I had to make this book because I really loved this story. I had to make it as good as I possibly could before I published it. And I learned a lot about the craft of writing, which I hope enables me to create and produce and publish the next 3 or 4 books in much shorter time frame.
Um, what did you think about the time of where you're setting your books then? Because if you're writing it, are you keeping it in the 90s is basically what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely keeping it in the 90s. I mean, bush planes are still very prevalent in Northern Ontario this day and age. I mean, that's still the primary way to get to water access only properties. But it's not just about bush planes. It's about the police at that stage, about the forensic abilities at that stage. Book
Mhm.
two talks a lot about organized crime. And while obviously we still have lots of organized crime, I focused it more closely along crime stories that were apparent then. So no, for me, while it's not historical, stretching the truth a little there, it is far enough away that I can remember some of it, but I still have to research the Jesus out of just about everything because I can't remember all of the details. And when I do expert discussions, when I go and look at somebody or talk to somebody, like the pilots I did for the book, and will do so again, I had to find people who were my age and remembered what it was like in 1994 when you were flying bush planes. And it's some of it's changed. A lot of it hasn't, but I
Mhm.
definitely need to ground myself in that era.
I have to admit that I asked you a few questions I already knew the answer to today, but the reason is because I was on your website, janfield.com. I enjoyed your website, and maybe one thing that you did that a lot of other people don't do is you put a lot of resources there for um, newer authors to find. Also, very enjoyable blog. Do you want to say a little bit more about your website? Is that the best way to contact you or learn more about you?
Yes, absolutely. It's janisfield.com. I actually have to use my full name, not the name I prefer, because somebody else had already taken the shorter version. So it's janisfield.com. And yeah, for me, you resist doing a web page because because you don't really think you need one. But once you get into it, it's a lot of fun. And dredging up these stories from around the time that I wrote the book and writing articles like about the mine trip that I took. That's the most popular blog story on that. I went underground. I'm from Sudbury. It's a mining town. I went underground and caused a bit of a kerfuffle, apparently. So yeah, people do seem to respond to that. I'm a first time published author, so I still have lots of marketing to do to drive people to the site. But it's also, I think, for me, as well as most authors, a way to tell my story outside of the characters that are in my books.
Yeah, I read your kerfuffle, and it was it's funny that we could brush it off to say it was the 80s. It's
Yeah,
different then.
yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. Two offers of marriage. Go read the webpage, people. Go read the webpage. Yeah, it was the 80s. It was fun back then. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always get surprised when people call like the 80s classic rock. It's like, no, it's not classic rock yet. So yes, I feel the
No,
same way as
no.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we do.
It was a pleasure chatting with you, Jen, and good luck on this. I tell everyone I don't know who was nominated. All five of the people are members of Crime Writers Canada, which I thought was really great, and congratulations to you.
Thank you, Eric. It was delightful talking to you, and someday maybe we'll meet in the real world.
Maybe.
Thank you.